No, but seriously.
Welcome back to
No, but seriously, the podcast where we keep it honest, keep it real, but not too serious. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jamaica. Today we are going to be talking about our friendships with other people and some problems that we've had. But you know, I was thinking like our friends that actually will watch this.
That did come across my mind as I was like, oh my God, when was I thinking about this? Maybe like a couple of days ago. No, it was last week when we were looking at like the last episode and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had closed my eyes because I was like, okay, let me like listen to it. And it like just came in. And then I'm like, I'm going to share this, right? And I would hope, you know, friends would hear this, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm like, how would I feel if somebody shared like our conflict to like everybody, right? Like, of course, we're not going to say names, right? Mm-hmm. But like, you know who you are, yeah. You know? Like, yeah. And I did think about it, and then I was like, do I ask for consent? Like, do I like, hey, like, I'm going to do this episode, you're going to be on it. Like, is it, I guess not on it, but I'm going to talk about us. Like, are you okay with this? Like, I did think about that. But then I was like, do I have to ask for consent? You know, like, I'm like,
because it is our life, like,
right,
you know,
right.
I was thinking about that. I think I was thinking more about like family too, because like, I mean, we obviously gonna be talking about our lives, and that includes everybody in them. But right, we aren't gonna be like specific names, but that's what I was thinking. I think I was watching somebody else's podcast, and I'm like, dang, I wonder if, you know, people feel some type of way. I'm sure that they do. I probably would feel some type of way.
I know I would. I in the beginning, I probably feel, but then I would be like curious and like want to finish listening, you know. But that did cross my mind, and I'm like, shit, I wish it would, like. But I don't know.
Yeah, like, so I'm kind of curious if it's going to cause any conflict with people.
As we talk about conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, honestly, I don't think that I care too much. Because, like, the intent, I think intent matters. And the intent is not to, like, hurt anybody or to send a specific message to anybody. It's just to talk about our lives.
Right, and I don't think we're here to, like, we're not gossiping about it.
Right.
I think we're here to talk about conflict because it's very common.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're going to be bad-mouthing anybody.
If this really like ruins a friendship, it probably, or a relationship, there was probably other problems to begin with.
And another thing too that just crossed my mind, because like I was thinking of like, oh, like if we were to have asked consent, like I haven't really told a lot of people about the podcast. So then that would be like a whole nother conversation of like, you know, why we started the podcast. I'm like, oh, you know, we gonna talk about this, and can I get your consent? You know, like I'm just like, it's a lot.
Yeah. But, and then it's like, why do I have to ask your permission?
Right.
To tell me.
And I'm not even saying your name either.
Yeah. Like, it's my truth. You may disagree, but
right.
This is like my truth, and then there's your truth, and then there's the truth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's one perspective, the other perspective, and then it's the facts of what happened.
Yeah.
I agree.
And if somebody want to get on here and talk about it, let's do it.
Oh, say less. You know, like, if you hear this and you're like, wait, no, I got to share my side of the story, then by all means, you know, like, we can open that up if we want to. And maybe that other person doesn't have to be there either. You know, like, that's another thing, too. Like, maybe we're comfortable because that other person we've had conflict with isn't here. You know, and we can set that up. Yeah.
I mean, there's less emotions involved when the other person is not, like, directly in front of you. But I do feel like I maybe handle conflict better. I think before I used to be like, friendships were disposable. Like, all right, you get on my nerves or we have a big fight, whatever.
Like nice.
Yeah, literally. And I've stopped talking to so many people. But then, like, I always circle back. And then another conflict. And then, all right, what was I thinking?
You're like, this is why I left in the first place. Yep.
But then I always circle back. I used to say I like conflict because I don't know why. But that's probably trauma.
Well, it's kind of like, you know how, I don't know if you've seen this on TikTok or if anybody has seen this on TikTok, when it was like a trend going around where the girl would call the boyfriend like, hey, I'm gonna go out, and then the girl's expecting him to be like, where are you going? We're friends and nobody's going. But in reality, the boyfriend's like, oh, okay, have fun, you don't have to like message me throughout the night. And the girl's like confused, like she's like, wait, what? Like, aren't you gonna be upset? And then at the end, like, she's like, you know what, forget this, like, it's over. Because like
you don't care,
right? You know, and sometimes we crave that, you know, in such a weird like way.
Yeah, we create conflict. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have created a lot of conflict, and if anything, like washing my hands of relationships or just throwing them away has like created more conflict. Because we never really deal with the problem, and then when I circle back, we still got the same problem until something else happens. And then
we gotta get to the root cause of things.
Yeah. There is one friendship that I feel like I have like circled back to like a bunch of times. And I haven't necessarily anymore. Like, I think I've realized that certain people need to stay in certain roles. And like, I think I would circle back because this is somebody I used to have so much fun with. They would be down to do literally anything. I'd be like, you want to go to whatever place, and they would be down to go. And like, it's nice to have somebody that would just do stuff with you. And
not question, you know, just
yeah. But it was also not somebody that I could really like share emotional stuff with or like, you know, grow emotionally with. And they needed to just be my, like, fun friend. And I tried to, like, make them both. And it don't work like that.
Right, it's hard.
It don't work like that. Hard. I think you have fun friends. You have emotional, like, friends who, like, make you grow. And then you have, like, work friends. And then you have, like, probably other categories of friends. But, like, when you try to put somebody that fits in one category into another category, you just end up, I don't want to say disappointed, but like that just breeds conflict, I think.
I think also going with that, right? I think even trying to merge the different categories together, you know, like trying to merge your work friends and then maybe your partying friends and like trying to merge them together, like that can even cause conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. And should you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know if we have like everything friends, you know, like this person I do. Every single, like they can fit into any category. I don't know if that exists.
But if y'all have somebody that exists that, you know, fits in every category for you or is able to run with all the other categories, you know, with your other friends, you know, then let us know. Yeah. Because I know it's been difficult for me to do that. And you're expressing that it's difficult for you to do that as well. So it's like, is there that one person? Is there?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like groups of friends that I'm like, no, y'all should not meet. I don't know how to navigate that all the time. And I think that there are friends that I've like introduced to people that maybe I shouldn't have. You know, and I feel like that friend that I was talking about could like be the perfect person to go out with and support me. But I always felt like if there was like somebody I was dating or if there was like anything like emotionally that I was going through, like that's when our conflict happened the most. And I tried to like overlap it. But I think I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't hate you. I'm not mad at you. But I realize like we can't see each other as often as we were. And like, you know, I try to hang out with them, but then it just doesn't work out. And then I think you just naturally kind of drift apart. And like, I don't feel like there's any animosity there. It's just now we know, well, now I know. I don't know if they do, but now I know where to keep them.
And like what role they play too, you know, in your life.
Yeah. Some people you can't let in all the way. And that's a hard thing to come to, because I used to be like, well, if I can't do this with you, or if you can't do that with me, then that's it, you know. And everybody doesn't have to fit that. You can still benefit from them. Because I have benefited. I mean, that conflict with them has like taught me, you know, these things, like where to keep certain people. And so that I think that you can learn from every relationship, and you don't have to get everything from every relationship.
Right. And then also understanding that friendships have cycles too. You know, there's friendships are going to end. And sometimes I read a quote that said, like, when you break up with a friend, it's like it hurts just as much as you break up with like your partner. And I was like, like I never like put it to that, because I think at some point I've also been like, well, you know what, like if I'm not going to force you to be in my life. Like, it is what it is. You can move on, or I'm going to move on, because then there's no really, like, if you're not putting effort to keep this friendship, why should I as well, right? Yeah. So it's like we move on from that. But then I thought of also, like, if you were in a relationship, you have that mindset is because you're tired too, you know? So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't like officially end one, but I definitely felt like a relationship just ended with a friend that I had, a really close friend I had in college. And I just feel like I'm so far from the person that I was. And she is too. Like, I feel like she is so far from who she was. In a good way, that we just, you know, our lives just took different tracks. You know, she just got married. And I didn't go to any of the festivities. But that was a choice I made, and I was feeling like I didn't want to go, you know, and I feel like if you don't want to do something, to go and have the energy like you didn't want to do it in the first place, it's not right. So I felt like it was best if I didn't go. And I told her, and it's not like I didn't just not show up. I told her I wasn't going to come. I didn't say why. But
I didn't go because I didn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like there's certain conflicts I avoid, and I definitely avoided that conflict because I didn't go because so the school I went to in college was like a predominantly white. There was a good chunk of, like, I almost said colored. There's a good chunk of black kids and brown kids. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost said colored. I
was thinking how that was gonna sound. I was like, oh.
There was a good chunk of brown kids, but it was predominantly white area. And most of the friends that I had, well, I'd probably say like half and half, but I got really close to some white people. And a huge chunk, if not all of her friends, are white. I mean, she's had black friends. Obviously, she's had me, but like I don't see her with her black friends anymore. And so that is a problem to me. And so like I definitely got to the place where I'm like, I'm tired of being the only black person, and I'm just not going to play the role of your only black friend. And so, I didn't explain that.
I mean, but that's hard to do it like via text or a phone call, you know? I think that's an in-person conversation.
I didn't explain that, but then I'm like, but then I saw pictures and stuff, and I didn't see one black or brown person. I mean, I could be wrong. There probably were black or brown people there.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want to take pictures.
But out of all the pictures, to not see even somebody
even
in the
finger.
background. Not even somebody in the background, like, right. Like not even a finger.
No, right, like that's I understand what you're saying, like
like those type of environments just don't serve me anymore. And I'm happy for her. Like, I'm glad that she got married. I was there when she met her fiance, so I'm glad that they are working out and that she got married. It's just like that is not something that I can be a part of anymore.
Right.
And that just makes me think, like, if you, and I'm not saying she's racist at all. Like, I don't believe that she is at all. But how can you stand for, like, people other than white people, and that's all you have in your life?
That's all you're surrounded with.
Right. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. That just does not make sense to me. On top of the fact that I started to get real uncomfortable around white people. And I don't know why, because I have, like, a bunch of white friends and stuff.
Oh, no, I feel you on that.
But after COVID, I got real uncomfortable around white people.
But honestly, though, because I think during that COVID time, and this is just sidetracking here, but, like, during that COVID time, I'm not going to lie, and, like, I saw certain true colors come out, during the pandemic, and seeing how certain people reacted to the things that were happening, that I was like, oh, wait. This is like, now things are coming up, and this is why I'm not cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, I can hang around, like, a few white people or whatever, but, like, to be in a, like, bridal shower full of white people.
Yeah. No.
Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So, but yeah, I just feel like I need to see more from somebody because, like, this is so much a part of my life, and it's not a part of yours. I get it. You don't have to wake up and think about being white.
Oh my God. We had this whole, like, we were at a training, and that came up. Like, do you wake up and think about your race or your culture, like, as soon as you look in the mirror? And some of those responses were a little, some of them said never. And I was like, bro, no, that's me every day. Yeah.
And so, I mean, this race stuff has definitely created conflict and friendships that I didn't have conflict in before. And I just don't have the energy to argue it, you know? And that's what it would be. I mean, I don't want to have to convince you to go out and get other friends. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I'm not going to tell you who to be friends with, not to be friends with.
So it's just like, I felt like her life did not, and maybe it's unfair, but I just felt like her life did not look like a life that would align with mine.
It wouldn't match,
Yeah, like, and it's not just that. It's with her professional life, too. She has a business, and I don't see any color. Oh my gosh, why do I want to say colors?
It's just because that's what the media's taught us to say.
But I never say that. Like, why the hell do I want to say it now? But I don't even see any black or brown people working for her or working with her. Like, it's not,
not even minorities, like if they were like Asian or something.
I mean, not that I can tell. I mean, there might be an Asian, but I don't want to say that there is. I don't want to say that there isn't, because there could be, but I don't see minorities overall. Yeah, any black or brown people really. And if it is, it's one. You know what I mean? I just feel like, why isn't your life more diverse? Right. And I feel like, to be my friend, or to be the friend that I want to have in my life, I just need people to be, like, more diverse. Like, you can't just talk the talk and say that you're for people if your life don't reflect that.
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, that is a good one. Okay, because honestly, sometimes, like, I can't. That's another thing too, right? Like, the people that you're surrounded with, right? Mm-hmm. That's also kind of aligns to how you said, right? Your lifestyle, mm-hmm. right? Like, if you're also like, quote unquote, like, I don't want to say like for the people, but like if you're trying to make change, right? Or trying to make impact, so you're going to surround yourself with people with the same mentality. But that's something I struggle with because certain friend groups of mine, like I would want them to see and like mm-hmm. see the struggles, right? And like, hey, like we need help, you know, and why aren't you helping? Why aren't you pushing for the cause as well? Yeah. You know, you as a minority, you know, like why aren't you just sitting? Like why are you just sitting there, right? Yeah. But I can't push them, right? Like that's on them. If they just want to sit and watch, and that's, you know. But that's been a struggle for me. Like I'm like, how do I tell them?
Yeah. I mean, because you're right. It's not just white people. It's minorities, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That are doing it. But, I mean, this is something that wasn't a problem for me before. Because it's not like her life is, like, drastically different. I mean, she's still, like, when I knew her, like, when we were, like, living together and stuff, like, most of her friends were white. You know, like, it's not drastically different. But, you know, when you remove me and then the other black person that I know that she was friends with moved away too, you know, like not why you didn't replace us, but like why'd
you replace us?
why didn't you? Like, why didn't you continue to find more friendships with people who aren't like you?
Right.
You know? And it's not like I don't dislike her. I do care about her very much, and I want the best for her always. It's just our lives don't align, and so it's not a friendship that I give priority to or that I desire really to continue, which is why I didn't, you know, go, and I didn't want to have that energy in her. You know, that's supposed to be a celebratory thing, and so I didn't go, but I agonized about it. For a while, I was like, you know, I felt like a bad friend to not go, you know?
Right.
And then I had to sit and think about it, and I'm like, are we really friends anymore? You know, like I feel like friendships kind of die.
Right.
You know, and we try to maintain it, but I feel like friendships kind of die, you know? And I think the moment I realized that our friendship was kind of dead was like, I think it was like a few months or so before her wedding, or maybe it wasn't even a year. It was a while before, and she had came here to Chicago, and she sent me a text and was like, basically like, "Hey, I'm about to post some stuff. I'm here in Chicago, but we're just here for the night or whatever." And so I just like, didn't want you to see it.
Right. Or like,
basically what it felt like. I didn't want you to see it and feel some type of way. Right. So let me,
because I didn't tell you I was
cover here. My butt and send you. Yeah. But I'm like, the moment you plan to come here, why wouldn't you just say that then? You know what I mean?
Or like, hey, you know, let's catch up. I'm going to be there even if it's for the night, you know. Yeah. And even if she like cancels last minute, right? But like, you know,
I mean, I get it. Like, if you're just here one night, you are going to an event or whatever, you out the next day, I understand that. But I also like feel like you could have said that on your way here. Like, it's at least a 5-hour drive. You know what I mean? You didn't think like, hey, I'm gonna be there tonight, but like I don't have time to see you. I wish I did. Blah blah blah. That's it. Right. I think I wouldn't have felt away. I think I felt away because it was kind of like after the fact. Like, I'm finna post these videos. Let me hurry up and cover my butt. And so that's when I was like, yeah. I already felt like it was kind of, because distance makes it hard. Like, as much as people try to say like they'll be friends and they have long distance friends and like you have friends that you don't see as often. Like, I agree with that, all of that. But like, our distance, me moving away, was like a friendship killer. You know, like, it was already, I think I was already kind of like over that life, which is why I moved away. I was just like, I'm done with my life there. Like, because I moved away from there after I graduated to come back here to go to graduate school. And then I moved back again for about 6 months. And I couldn't even make it longer than that. You know, like, it was like, really, it was probably about that 4 month mark. I'm like, this is not I'm just not here anymore. You know, like this is, I don't want to be here anymore. You know, I needed to just leave that as undergrad, you know, right. And I didn't. But I also think I was running away from something here, but that's another episode. That's another episode. But yeah, I just felt like that relationship died. And I think we have maybe some unresolved conflict, but I think that it's okay to not resolve it, honestly.
I mean, yeah, there's certain conflict you don't have to resolve, especially if the friendship, you know, ended or not. Like, yeah. It is what it is at this point.
Yeah, because I don't think that I would feel any better by saying, by us having a conversation about this.
Right.
Like, I just don't feel like I would feel any better or any different, honestly. Right. You know?
That's facts.
So, yeah.
For me, I think one of the biggest struggles, because it sounded like for you, that friendship that ended, or, you know, some of the things that came up was raised as we were talking. I was kind of reflecting a little as well onto my friendships, and I've come to realize, like, a lot of, not the conflict that comes from it, right? But the main topic that has come up when I've tried to address conflict with these individuals, like, mental health comes up. And I'm like, I you know, advocate for mental health. I'm for mental health. Everybody needs therapy, you know, like, and I get that. But how do you want to address, right, like, the conflict with a person who expresses, like, well, I have anxiety, or I'm going through a really hard time right now. And also, like, how do you express to them, well, like, maybe you should seek, you know, therapy then, right? If this is not, how do I say this, if, like, this is a struggle, right, to be able to come, because in my head I'm like, if we're friends, then I would hope that you would feel comfortable to come talk to me, right? And I get it, like, I have RBF, I can come off as indifferent, and I've told these certain individuals that I'm like, I get it, sometimes I can come off defensive, and I get that, but I know that I'm here to listen regardless, you know. But it just keeps coming up, like anxiety, or, well, you know, I'm depressed, or, you know, and things like that. And I'm like, okay, cool, then we don't got to talk about it right now, right? But then how, like, that's been my struggle, right? Like, then when they do reach out and they're like, okay, let's talk about it, when it's been like a month after, I'm like, at that point, do I want to talk about it? You know, like, I want to support you now that you're advocating for yourself, because that's great. But then at that point, like, do I want to talk about it? Do I want to talk about something that happened 6 months ago? You know, do I want to, like, or do we want to keep rescheduling to meet to talk about this, and it's been a month? Yeah. You know, like, at that point, I'm like,
yeah, how important could it be to you if we have to keep rescheduling it, or it keeps getting delayed? Or
Right. Like, currently right now, like, I initially sent out a text beginning of April, I want to say, and I said, hey, look, this is what, you know, I apologize, this yada, yada, yada. It took about maybe 12 hours for me to get a response. So they're like, we should meet in person. I said, great, let's do this. It is May 1st tomorrow, and we have not met. You know, and things come up, and I get that. I totally understand that. But it's also like, you're responding to me every second day, or whatever the case is. I get it. We all have a life, you know, but in that moment, right, like, I'm like, at this point, I don't even want to meet, you know. And I like you said, right, like, the distancing and things. But then also, like,
do you think they really want to meet?
Well, that's where I'm going at, because I saw the distance so when I had initially texted, this person had said, yeah, hence I texted them beginning of April, okay? This person responded with something along the lines of, like, hey, you've been in the back of my mind since June. We are in April. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, and for a whole year, you've been in the back of my mind.
Right. Yeah. And like, we have distanced, right? I now when that person put a date, I can now connect the dots more, right? And I did see the distancing a little bit before May. I mean, a little bit before June. I saw the distance. I saw that coming, and you know, I saw it like more and more every day, which I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not gonna force it. I'm not gonna force to be your friend. It is what it is. But then, like, you know, slowly it did become more and more, and like I was like, okay, cool. Like, and then we had one small conflict situation, and then like after that we didn't talk anymore. So I just wanted to clear the air, and that's why I sent the text. And I'm like, right, like, do they want to meet, or are they just saying this because I reached out? Like, if I didn't reach out, would they have reached out initially and said, hey, you've been in the back of my head since June. I think we need to talk. Can we talk?
Yeah.
Right? No, if I'm being real, no. I don't think that person would have reached out if I didn't reach out. And then that's where I'm going at, right? Like, distancing, cycles are ending, which I'm okay with that. But that was the big struggle for me. I was like, okay, like, I get it. Mental health is an issue, but also we're grown adults here, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and I'm like, after this text, I'm like, I'm not, if they do end up sending a message, like, I'm gonna be like, bro, at this point, like, there's no need. Like, we can just move on from here. And like you said, like, I'm happy for them. I'm, you know, I'm never gonna put down somebody, you know, especially not another woman.
Yeah.
But we just move on from everything. Just cool, peace.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I don't think that every ending of a relationship needs that final conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that, and I think people fake this idea of closure.
Right.
You know, like, I need closure. Like,
and
no, you don't. Like,
right,
you just want to say what you had to say,
right,
so that something gets off, you know, or so that they act the way that you want them to act or whatever. I mean, most of those relationships we were talking about were women. Our relationship with women.
right.
Our friendships with women. And I feel like that's always been hard for me. And I used to be like, oh, that's why I love being friends with men. I'm not a person that has a lot of girlfriends. Like, and that's true. Like, I don't have a lot of girlfriends, but like, I don't have a lot of friends, period. You know what I mean? Like, I used to say that, like, I can't get along with girls. I get better. And I do get along with guys, I think, easier. But I just don't have a lot of friends in general. But like, there's issues with relationships between guys too. I mean, there's one friendship I'm thinking about in particular, but I'm like, I don't know if that's for another episode or if that's for this episode. There's a lot to unpack there. But I think we're trying to be friends, but like, there's been so much that's happened between us that I'm like, can we really be friends, or are we fooling ourselves?
Right.
Know? Like, are we really fooling ourselves? And I feel like we were friends until like emotions get involved. Well, I don't want to say emotions get involved. Like, romantic feelings get involved, because emotions are involved in any relationship.
Yeah.
But like, when romantic feelings got involved, I feel like that's when our hope for a friendship has kind of like started to whatever word I'm trying to think of started to go away. No, dissipate. Started to dissipate. So, you know, and I'm open to trying to get a friendship, but then I also like sit back and I'm like, are we really gonna be friends, or am I like,
you know what that made me think of? It made me think of when they say like girls and guys can't be friends, you know?
Yeah,
because
and I think that they can't when there's romantic feelings involved.
But not not just romantic feelings.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Like, even if there's that sexual attraction. Like, I don't think they can be friends if there's that sexual attraction. I think sexual attractions and romantic feelings, once that gets involved, because one can lead to the other. Like, sexual attraction can lead to romantic feelings, or vice versa. So I think when those two things come up in that relationship, I mean, but that goes even like, you know, if it's a woman and woman, right? Like that can even come up there. But I think with friendship, if those two things come up, then no.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people are like, guys and girls can't be friends, because sometimes either or comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that there are relationships with men that I've had that like we should have stayed friends. Like it shouldn't, like we should have just been friends. And I think it started off as like us trying to like date and like talk romantically, when I feel like it should have just been a friendship. You know, and because we tried to date and talk, that friendship is just not even gonna happen now.
Right.
You know, but I do feel like there have been a lot of men that I feel like I would have been great friends with.
But then how does that person bring that up too, right? Like that's another thing too. Like how would you feel if you're like, yeah, no, like a guy comes up to you and it's like, hey, let's date or whatever, and like let's say you guys started as friends, and they're like, hey, let's date, and you're just like, no. Does that then change the friendship?
Well, yeah, somebody wants to date and the other person doesn't. How does it not change a friendship?
Right, you know, but that's what I'm saying. Like when that stuff comes in, like it just you can't go back. Even as simple as like, hey, like I kind of want to like have sex with you, right? Like that changes.
Yeah, it does. And
thing.
I think that's why I'm like, you know, like I think we're fooling ourselves. Like I don't know if we can really be friends. We can play like we are,
right?
You know, and maybe we're okay with like, you know, doing friendly things, but like I feel like there's always this underlying thing of like, because that's what happened. Like I approached them and I was like, hey, like I think I would want to try giving dating a shot. And it's not like they completely rejected me, but like they also didn't like.
Yeah, they didn't say yes or no.
Right. And so, like, that's a no to me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't say yes or no, it's a no.
I mean, yeah, period.
You know? so, that happened. So, I was like, okay, cool. And I was, like, pursuing somebody else. You know? Like, they don't give me an answer. That's a no to me. Let me just keep pushing in my life, you know? And I started dating somebody else. And then now they come around again.
Come around with the intent to be friends.
Yes, or at least that's what they're saying.
But this
is another. Yeah. That's why I say this is another episode, because there's a lot to unpack in this friendship. But I do think that it is hard. It may be harder to navigate male-female relationships.
Yeah,
because
I think so.
Especially when you're attracted to men. Like I'm attracted to men, so like that is harder to navigate when there is that possibility.
No, yeah, facts
of romance.
I think also because you guys can be friends and like he might be a little ugly in the beginning, right? And then like I don't know, they have a glow up. They might go through puberty, you know, at their 30s. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, like, you know, they attractive now. Like, let me, you know, right? Like, it changes everything.
Yeah. Or they become more attractive because they're a good friend to me, or because we have a good time together. When all it really is a good time and a good friendship.
Right.
You know, and then our emotions start to confuse that.
Because then the acts that they do can be taken as something else.
Yeah.
Like the friend might just bring you some chicken soup when you're sick.
Yeah.
But because you actually start liking them, you're like, oh, they're doing this because they like me too. But
I do think there are men that do that, like that claim to be like friends, but like do the quote unquote boyfriend stuff.
That is another.
But that creates conflict.
Right.
Like when you are very clear on like, we're being friends, like let's be friends, I want to be your friend, but you're like
why are you holding my hand?
Yeah, or like trying to rub my leg, or like, you know, like
caress my face.
You know, like doing things that do not align with us being friends.
And then when you try to bring it up, it becomes a whole thing.
Yeah, like then they gaslight you.
Right, and they're like, well, I thought we were on the same page. I thought we were friends. And it's like, Like,
Yeah,
I need to.
like,
Do I need to
what?
record?
I did that. I don't remember doing that.
Right. Like, do I need to record you next time so that I can show you the evidence? Because I is not crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and that was the conversation that I had with a certain individual not too long ago, because he was like, well, I thought we were on the same page. I thought we were, and I'm sitting there like, you met my family in Mexico. You bought me flowers while I was in Mexico, and you were holding my hand or trying to hold my hand almost the entire trip while I was there. How are you going to sit there and tell me, well, I thought we were on the same page, we're friends? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. But is that just on them, or is that on us too?
I mean, 100% is on us too, but
Yeah.
you know,
because I think we've avoided the conflict of those conversations too.
yes,
Of like,
yes, because I could have addressed it in
yeah,
Mexico.
yeah, or
I
like,
didn't.
or like we never really have a conversation that's setting clear boundaries about what we are. You know,
that's
or,
a good one.
You know what we're going to be doing and what we're not going to be doing. And so if we never really have that conversation, how can we say that we're on the same page?
Right.
We never even opened the book together, you know?
Look, it's not just gonna fall on me. But no, you have a point. Like how, you know, we can't just blame them if we didn't set boundaries ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been bad with setting boundaries.
But yeah,
Especially with men.
We were both on the same level.
Yeah, especially with men.
my God.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I find it way easier to set boundaries with women
Oh
than
no,
with men.
100%. Yeah. But also, with these certain individuals, I think it's been harder because certain emotions have come up. I think that's why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it makes it even harder. That's why we're gonna expound on that in another episode of like about dating. You know, we have to talk more about that.
Yeah.
About dating and the issues that we've had with dating, but like also the issues we've caused. That I think that there are things we could have prevented from happening.
Oh, 100%.
And we didn't.
No, yeah. But also, like, but I think that goes back into, like, one, we're not perfect, right? And two, because emotions and feelings are there. And, yeah, I was probably delusional at one point, for all I know, you know? So, I think that's where some of that stuff comes in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can't blame them for everything as much as I want to. Because I know I took a huge role in it.
Is there anything you think you need to do to be like a better friend or to like handle conflict better?
My face is one of them. Like, I'm just being real. My face is one of them for sure. But
how do you fix that?
Well, like, I think sometimes my face says a lot, even though I'm not saying nothing. Like, I might be like a what the face. I do have the RBF, right? And I think maybe that can be changed in a way where it's like I'm more like quote unquote like welcoming to somebody to be able to come and address something with me. I don't know. But I know that's one. Because if I'm able to do it with my kids at school where I'm just kind of neutral, like I'm just listening, why can't I do that same like face, I guess, with my friends?
Yeah. Well, there's emotions involved with friends.
Right. So I guess like maybe not like my face, right, but like self-awareness is what I'm going towards. And then I know I can come off as defensive sometimes, and I know I'm working on that because it's just I take it like as like you're attacking me, so I need to defend myself versus like, no, I'm just expressing to you like how maybe they felt, or you know how they took whatever happened from their perspective and that I might have not been aware of. And instead of coming out so defensive, like actually listening and also validating them. You know, I think that's something I need to work on too. Because I try to validate as much as I can, But a friend of mine pointed out, like, one of their things was like words of affirmation, right? And that just made me think, like, oh, maybe I haven't validated them when they've tried to come and talk to me about conflict. So that's something that I'm like, okay, like once again, if I'm able to validate my kids, like, why can't it, you know? So that I know that those are some of the things that I need to work on. And then for me, being able to like actually say, like, okay, look, like, let's talk about it, instead of always waiting on them. If I know something's bothering them, like, hey, even if I did something, like, let's talk about it, versus just, well, you're an adult, so you should come and tell me, right? You know? And actually, like, opening that door. Am I, like, but that's another thing too, right? Like, at what point do I set the boundary? Like, at the end of the day, you are 30-some years old. Like,
you need to communicate.
Right.
You need to learn to.
Right. You know, but I can't hold your hand forever, right? So at what point do I, like, also say, like, okay, no, yes, I'm going to have to wait, because these past conflicts that I've had with friends, I've been the one that's been opening the door. Hey, how are you? What's going on? You know, and then they're like, oh, like, how did you know it was about you? You know, and it's like, because clearly, you know,
don't hide it very well.
Right. Not just that, but, like, you know, I've known you long enough that I can read, you know, you as a person. So it's like, yeah, clearly it's me, and I want to talk about it, because at the end of the day, like, I am your friend. But once again, we push into 30-some years old. Like, how do I then, like, you also as an adult need to tell me what I did wrong.
Right.
You know? I can't hold your hand, and I can't open that door, because, like, one, not everybody's going to do that. And two, I'm not going to be here forever to do that for you. So, yeah. Those are the things in my head.
Yeah. I think I used to be like that. I think I used to be like, at least with friends, I feel like I used to be like that. I used to wait for them to be like, what's wrong? You know, like, what did I do? Because I'm like, I used to have this, like, horrible trait of, like, you should know. Like, I'm making it very clear. Like, I don't know how to hide how I feel. So, like, you should know that you did something, or, like, that I feel some type of way. And that, like, why aren't you asking me about it? I do feel like I still do that with men. But I feel like with, like, friendships, I feel like I've learned to, like, communicate more of my issues.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with those male relationships, I think I do, like, still, you should be coming to me and figuring out what the hell you did wrong, you know?
Right.
But I've learned to change that, so I'm learning to change it in all of the relationships. But.
And that's another thing too from friendships, right? Like, when you as a person start taking care of yourself, start putting more effort into yourself, and growing, right? Growing your mindset, growing as a person, maybe actually going to therapy and working on yourself and all this stuff. But your friends aren't. Right? Like, you know, it's hard. It's hard because you're sitting there like, I know you need to go see somebody. I know you need, you know? But that's also, like, a hard conversation to have with them. You know?
And how long do you deal with it? You know, like, at what point do you say, okay, I can't do it anymore? Right. You know, that's hard.
It is hard because it's like, I'm doing what I need to do to heal, right? Whatever is going on here, to heal myself, to move on, to pass the trauma, right? And to continue this. But yet you're stuck there. Yeah. You know?
And I think the hard thing for me is, like, I don't want to feel like I'm giving up on people, you know? And logically, I know that I'm not. They have to, like, start doing things for themselves and, like, want to be better for themselves. But, like, emotionally, it does feel like I'm giving up on them.
And sometimes it takes a lot. Like I'm, you know, like I mentioned before, like, some of my friends have expressed, like, you know, anxiety or, you know, depression or, you know, whatever the case is. And it's hard for me to be self-aware of, like, okay, I have to be mindful of what I say around this person, or, you know, I'm there for this person, right? And they're venting to me, I'm listening and stuff. But it's like I already do that at work, you know, and then I come and then it's like family and then friends that are doing it, and then I'm just like, who gonna listen to me? You know,
that's a good point. That's a good point, because I definitely have less patience and less compassion outside of work, and I think it's because I give so much of that in work that I'm just like, I am unfairly harder on like my friends or my family.
Right. And then that's where I think my mindset comes in, right? Like, yeah, you 30 some years old or whatever the case is, like, why aren't you bringing up the conflict to me? You know? But at work I do the opposite, right? Like, I ask them like, what's wrong, you know, what's happening. But yeah, I think it goes from there. My cup is filled in the morning, and by the time at the end of the day of work, it is empty.
I'm exhausted, yeah.
Right. So like, give me time to fill my cup before, right? But then it's like, who's filling my cup, you know? And then I think that's why one of the reasons why I seek therapy, right? Because I'm like, left and right there, you're asking from, you know, from my cup. And then trying to then express that to your peers of like, well, maybe you should also tap into it, you know? Because as a minority, like, you most likely probably do need therapy.
Yeah. And I mean, some people aren't ready, you know, but like, am I gonna wait around till you're ready? You know, like, the door is always open, but like, I think sometimes we have to like distance ourselves from people until that they so that they have the space to do better, you know. And maybe you learn from this, like, I can't go into relationships like this, I can't treat friends like this, I can't act like this around friends. And so I think that I've tried to give people that lesson. And also, it's helped me in the process to distance from those relationships.
That's another thing. We talk about friendships. We talking about with males, females. What about our own friendship with ourselves? Like, like being our own friend. Yeah. Right? I know as I started to distance myself from some of these friendships, because it was exhausting, I was like, this is a lot for me, and started to spend some time alone. Like, it is like, that has been the hardest thing to do. Like, go out and do stuff with myself, go out and like learn about myself. Like, that's so hard. Like, that was harder than dealing with the conflict with my friends. It's been such a hard struggle. Yeah,
because it can feel lonely,
right? Know? Yeah,
you know, and I think we start to realize that we don't like being with ourselves, or we don't like ourselves. Right. I think that I didn't like myself for a while, and then that's kind of hard to admit, but I didn't like myself for a while, and I wasn't a good friend to myself. I think that I'm better of a friend to myself. Much better, because I am trying to take care of the things that I've neglected before. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that was the hardest for me. Because I was able to do certain things, right? But when I actually started doing activities, like going to do these things on my own, aside from like the judgment of like, oh, like, I wonder what they're gonna think that I show up to this Pilates class on my own, right? So then that's one struggle of like trying to overcome that, you know. And then finally coming into like, okay, I'm there, whatever it is, what it is, and then just the thoughts coming in, right? Like these intrusive thoughts while I'm like in Pilates class, feeling alone, like, you know. But I agree. Sometimes it's because sometimes I'm like, bro, I can't deal with you. Yeah. But like, you me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? You know?
Yeah. And it's because we have those intrusive thoughts and stuff that are there when we're by ourselves.
Right. And I think that's like the hardest thing.
Yeah. We don't want to deal with that. I don't. And I think that I used to be, you saying that, I'm like, I used to be better at doing stuff by myself. Like, I was trying a bunch of different stuff. Like, I was going to pole classes and stuff by myself. And I've gotten away from that. And I think it's because I've shifted the focus from myself to my relationships with other people. And I feel like when I was doing those things for myself, I'm a better friend and a better partner and a better whoever to other people. And because I don't do those things for myself now,
Right.
I feel like I'm really struggling.
No, now that you say that, like, bro, period. Like, that's how, like, reflecting now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would go to the gym every single day, and I would go on my own, right? Like, initially, yeah, it was hard because I'm like, who else is here alone, right?
Yeah.
But then you look around, everybody's there alone, technically speaking. But that was, like, I was able to do that every single day, like, by myself. And now I can't go to the gym by myself more than, like, 2-3 times a week. Because just some of these thoughts just come in. And then on top of, when you start going to the gym, you get body dysmorphia, okay? Body dysmorphia, anxiety, and then the intrusive thoughts, because I'm there by myself. I was just like, I can't do this no more. Like, I can't go to the gym as much. And yeah, I saw not a decrease incline, I don't know how to say this, but I saw my actual friendship shift, because I think I was also like just all over the place.
Yeah.
You know? Man.
Well, yeah. So any final thoughts? Any advice? Or
I think my advice is just what I got from all of this is taking care of oneself to be able to then not deal with, but I guess confront conflict and stuff. Because if we can't do it and we're already in a bad mindset, like that conflict, trying to address the conflict is going to be worse.
Yeah.
You know, so taking care of ourselves, know ourselves before we then try to fix everything else.
I agree with that. I think the other thing that I took away was that being honest with myself, you know, about relationships and about what I want and what I don't want, you know.
Facts.
Like, I don't want to do this, and I don't have to just because they're my friend. You know, and I used to be like, you suck it up for your friends. And there are moments where I do, like, you know, maybe for like a birthday, somebody's doing something I'm not necessarily interested in, but because I value this friendship so much, I will do it.
Right.
You know, but also, like, for other relationships that I don't value as much, like, I don't have to do it just for the sake of saying that you're my friend, you know? Like, I don't need to say that you're my friend. That friendship. Yeah, when it doesn't, it's just not a friendship anymore. And like, just being honest about that. And I think that having quality, the last thing I want to say, I think that having quality relationships or friendships have made it easier to be like, okay, I definitely don't want that anymore. Like, you know, like, you're a quality friend to me, you know?
Thank you. Appreciate it. I can say the same.
Yeah. So it's like made it easier, or helped me recognize, you know, that like, no, this is not what I want, and I don't have to want it, you know, and it's okay that I don't want it, you know, for the sake of like padding my friendship numbers. That's what it is, just to say that I have more friends, like, and like, I don't need that. So I'd rather have the 2 quality friendships that I have than to have a bunch of people that I'm like, I don't even talk to them. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know their favorite color. I don't know what's going on in their life. They don't know what's going on in mine. Like, we're not friends, and that's okay. Yeah. We used to be.
And that's,
you know,
that's great.
And they were what I needed at the time. And I hope that I was what they needed at the time. But we don't have to be anymore. Right. And so I'm more okay with that. And it in a healthy way. It's not like where I used to be like, okay, you made me mad, so I'm done with you type of thing. It's just like, this is a more healthy way of saying like, we don't have to be friends. Right. So yeah, this was good.
This was. I hope you guys made it through.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot more interesting episodes to come. A few guests will be joining us that I'm excited about. Yes. So
it's not the next episode, but
but in the episodes to come. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you leave us some feedback or let us know any other topics that would be interesting, and yeah, we will see y'all in the next one.